Good morning. Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. So today I thought I would do another shelf spotlight tour. I was thinking about it, and I'm preparing a video for recommendations adjacent to Victober. And that got me thinking about my shelves, and so I decided to do a shelf spotlight for Civil War era historical fiction. I pulled a bunch of books this morning, and I realized I have not read most of these, which is surprising to me, but there you go. So let's start with the most obvious of choices. That would be Scarlett by Margaret Mitchell, also known as This is Scarlett, actually, which is the sequel to Gone with the Wind. And I still need to put a copy of Gone with the Wind in my library. I have read this. It is a hunker, as you can tell. I got this from Better World Books, so yeah, got this from Better World Books. But it looks like a large print, so it's thicker than it really is. I enjoyed this immensely. I enjoyed this immensely. And I'm glad it sits on my shelf. It's by Alexandra Riley, I'm sorry, and it picks up where Gone with the Wind left off. And I read it when it first came out, so ages and eons ago. I loved every moment of it. So the next two are also authorized by the estate of Margaret Mitchell. They're written by the same author, that is Donald McCaig. And I know I have listened to Rhett Butler's People, but I now own a physical copy of the book. This I know I picked up from the library recently. And this obviously focuses on Rhett, where Scarlett focuses on Scarlett. And the last book in the Gone with the Wind sequels is Ruth's Journey. I have not read this one yet. This is also by Donald McCaig, and this tells the story of Mamie. And, you know, as the last several years have shown us, it is very easy to whip up public sentiment to cancel history and books and authors and people that read them. And there are some books that, while I regularly rotate books in and out of my personal library so that they can be shared with others, there are some books I will always keep because it's very hard to cancel a book in a time frame in history if there are physical copies of it. And Gone with the Wind is one of those physical copy books that I believe is important for me to hold on to. And okay, sorry about that. And so I will hold on to my Gone with the Wind books and happily preserve them for future generations. So the next couple of books I have broken up by the president, even though there is the same author in both sections. So first up, we will do the Lincoln era books. I have not read any of the next books. They are all continually on my radar, and they all seem to be getting pushed aside for something else. And that's bothering me, so I really need to start making an effort to correct that for myself. So the first one is, I had them out of order here. Mrs. Lincoln's Dressmaker by Jennifer Chiaverini. I know I just butchered her last name. I got this from Better World Books. These are older. I'm fine with that. The book is in good condition. Yes, the pages are worn or yellowing, but that's fine. They give off a wonderful aroma, which is what we all love. And this, here, I'll read you the back. I'd best see to the First Lady. Name is blocked out by a tag. She found the First Lady in her boudoir, clad in a cheerful floral day dress and sitting at her dressing table, staring straight ahead at nothing. She looked up when Elizabeth entered, a faint light of surprise cutting through her grief. "Ah, Elizabeth," she said. "How did you know I needed you?" "I heard the bells tolling and thought you might." Elizabeth went straight to the wardrobe and began sorting through the First Lady's dresses for a more suitable garment. Suddenly she was seized by the cold realization that she would likely be asked to sew many black dresses in the months ahead as her patrons lost husbands, sons, and brothers, and donned the somber colors of mourning custom demanded. I've heard nothing but beautiful things about this book, and it calls to me, so I need to stop not reading. The next up is called Mrs. Lincoln's Rival. Again, another Jennifer Chiaverini book. Better World. This one is in perfect, pristine condition. And I will read you the first paragraph of the inside blurb. Kate Chase Sprague was born in 1840 in Cincinnati, Ohio, and was the second daughter to the second wife of a devout but ambitious lawyer. Her father, Solomon P. Chase, rose to prominence in the antebellum years and was appointed Secretary to the Treasury in Abraham Lincoln's cabinet, while aspiring to even greater heights. Well, that tells you nothing. Reading the next paragraph. Thrice widowed, Chase found himself at a disadvantage without a wife to host social gatherings crucial to influence building. Beautiful, intelligent, regal, and entrancing, young Kate Chase stepped into the role, establishing a salon at the Chase home that launched her father-daughter partnership, bent on achieving the presidency. For her efforts, the Washington Star declared her the most brilliant woman of her day. None outshone her. None, that is, but Mary Lincoln Todd. Mrs. Lincoln and her young rival held much in common: political acumen, love of country, and a resolute determination to help the men they love achieve greatness. They could never be friends, for the success of one could come only at the expense of the other. When Kate Chase married William Sprague, the wealthy young governor of Rhode Island, it was widely regarded as the pinnacle of Washington society weddings. President Lincoln was in attendance. The First Lady was not. Sounds fascinating. Sounds full of political drama and intrigue and history. And yes, please, Tammy, stop dragging your feet. Pull out some good books. So next up, I have not read this one either. This is Courting Mr. Lincoln by Lois Bayard. And I love this cover. There's just something very evocative about this cover. When Mary Todd meets Abraham Lincoln in Springfield in the spring of 1840, he's on no one's short list to be president. A country lawyer living above a dry goods shop, he is lacking both money and manners, and his gift for oratory surprises those who meet him. Mary, a quick, self-possessed debutante with an interest in debates and elections, at first finds him an enigma. I can only hope, she tells his roommate, the handsome, charming Joshua Speed, that his waters being so very still, they also run deep. Again, another novel that sounds so interesting and staging. Tammy, get on it. Okay, so the next two deal with the grant presidency. And, wait, this one does not. Yes, it does. I am related to Grant, direct descendant. So these are of high interest to me. And yet, I've let them languish on my shelves. Bad on me. They are both Better World Reads purchases, or Better World Books purchases. I will link them down below. I'll give you a little bit about them at the end. So the first up is Mrs. Grant and Madame Jule. It's by Jennifer Chiaverini as well. In 1844, Shy Missouri Belle, Julia Dent met Lieutenant Ulysses S. Grant, a brilliant horseman and reluctant soldier. The two fell deeply in love, but 4 years passed before Julia's father permitted them to wed. The groom's abolitionist family refused to attend the ceremony. Do you need to read more? Again, other than, some stickers on the front from the library in which this came, in which case Yuma County Library District, they're in perfect condition. So the next one is the Spymistress. I love this cover. I really do love this cover. Born to slaveholding aristocracy in Richmond, Virginia, and educated by Northern Quakers, Elizabeth Van Lew was a paradox of her time. When her native state ceded in April 1861, Van Lew's convictions compelled her to defy the new Confederate regime. Pledging her loyalty to the Lincoln White House, her courage in clandestine combat would never waver, even as her actions threatened not only her reputation, but also her life. Oops, it goes with the Lincoln books, not the Grant books. I apparently have not had enough coffee yet this morning. That's okay. Life is full of blunders sometimes. And last up, is The Other Alcott by Elsie Hooper. And Louisa May Alcott is my favorite classical American author. She just is. There is nothing more complicated than the relationship among sisters, and the one shared by the Alcott sisters of Concord, Massachusetts, was no exception. This inspired Louisa May Alcott as she wrote her classic novel Little Women. But while everyone cheers for Jo March, a character based on Louisa herself, Amy is often the least favorite sister. Now it is time to learn the truth about the real Amy, Louisa's sister May. Yeah. I think I'm going to have to make an effort next year to get through some of these. So, Better World Books is a online used bookstore. They do also sell new books. And a portion of every purchase goes to help literacy programs around the globe. And it buys a book for a disadvantaged child or person. Their prices have always been reasonable. Their books have never not lived up to their descriptor of, used, acceptable, used, good, used, very good. So that has always been reliable in my experience. Their shipping is free over a certain dollar amount. They regularly run sales. They have, even if your books come from overseas, there's still no shipping. And they deliver books routinely. And they're very well packaged. I've never received a damaged book. And it's a great way if you're trying to find books that are out of print or have fallen out of favor. You can generally find a copy of them on Better World. You can make a wish list so that if something comes up, it's in your wish list and you can do it. Now, do they have the greatest sorting tools for the wish list? No, they do not. But then again, most people probably don't have a wish list on there as long as mine. So that's probably on me. I highly, highly recommend Better World Books. I'm not affiliated with them. They're not sponsoring this video. I appreciate the work they do. So if you need a good source for online books that are used, or if you want to support an independent bookseller for new books if they have them available, please consider Better World Books. They are truly wonderful. So that is my shelf spotlight for Civil War era fiction. I need to read my own shelves. It's going to be a goal next year, I'm pretty sure. So, do you have any Civil War fiction that I have missed that you would recommend? If so, please leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.